Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our fourth webinar. Our first virtual graduation ceremony happens next week on Friday. As lecturers, we are confident that we have done our best, and it's exciting to see our graduates step out and claim their space in the job market. For any job posted out there are several candidates interested in it. So we'll be finding out as graduates, how can you position yourself for the job market? We will also find out how continuing students can package themselves for the workplace. Now, joining our conversation today is a team of very successful young professionals. From the USA is David Wachira, who is a public finance specialist at the World Bank. And from Kenya is Eunice Kilonzo, a manager, content generation at Safaricom. Thank you that you could join us. On to our first guest, Eunice Kilonzo. Now, Eunice is the manager, content generation at Safaricom. She joined the telco from the United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, where she was a writing and social media consultant. At UNEP, she wrote about corals protections as part of the global Glowing Gone campaign. Before that, she was at the African Population and Health Research Center, where she served as a communication officer. Eunice has also worked as a senior reporter at the Nation Media Group. She has a bachelor's degree from the University of Nairobi and a master's degree from the University of Nairobi, and an executive certificate in global health diplomacy from the Graduate Institute, Geneva. Eunice, take it away.
Hi everyone, I hope we can all hear me. I'm so excited to be here. As I've heard about my introduction, don't be fooled. I haven't I haven't been in the job industry for long. I literally joined, I started working at the Nation Media about seven years ago in 2013. So, but before that, while I was in campus, I did some internships, which really helped me get to some of the jobs that I got afterwards. So for those who are still in campus, you have a few weeks to go or a few semesters to go. Think of opportunities that you can take up now, even before you get to graduate. Okay, so my presentation really is just going to be as engaging as possible. And as you can see the question there, are you job market ready? I know for those who are in their fourth year, they're probably hoping to graduate next week, as Terry has said, is that you're probably thinking, okay, so what happens now? I came to school, I've studied my 4 years, or the duration of your course. Now, what happens now? And yes, you will be scared. Yes, you'll be confused, and that's okay. And that's okay for you not to know what will happen. But I hope from our discussion now is that you're going to get an insight of how you can make a difference and how you can make it you can make it a bit better for you as you're getting into the job market. So with that said, are you job market ready? I know you've been in school, you've studied the theory, the practical, and for those who are doing communications and media studies, you're feeling, yes, now I need to go out, I have all the skills, I want to produce stories, do videos and all this. So I hope this discussion will help you just think through really, truly, if you are job market ready. Okay. So as you can see, for me, from my profile and even from the discussions right now, we have people who are globally. We have David who's joining us from DC. We have people who are joining us from wherever parts of the country. And what I want us to think about as graduates and as communications, people who are going to step into the communication arena and into the media sector, is that you need to think global. By thinking global, stop thinking that Kenya is the only place that you can work in, or that's the only place that your content can be useful. So you need to start packaging yourself, or start thinking in terms of how are people doing it elsewhere? How are people telling their stories in the US, for instance, in the UK, in Russia? You need to start thinking global, because as you can see, Africa is part of the whole globe. Kenya is a little tiny part of that jigsaw, and you cannot say that you are a communications person who only speaks or tells stories in Kenya only. You will be shortchanging yourself. You won't be able to grow. So think global and then be global. And be global is what I want us to focus a bit more on this presentation. That now that you can see what people are doing on the global arena, how then do you package yourself with those lessons, with those pointers, with those tips on how to be global as well. And so straight up, I would say global skills that you need, and especially as a comms person, is that you need to be able to write. You need to be, writing is like, if you think about a pyramid, writing is at that point. You have to be able to write. You need to be able to write properly, and probably know this in the essays that you do, in the work that you do, you're always writing something. So if you cannot write, my friends, you need to start building that skill. You need to be able to write. As a global communications person, you need to have digital media and communication skills. I mean, look where we're meeting right now on a digital platform. Everything is moving virtually. Everything is, so you need to be able to move with the times. You can access this on your phone, good. You can access it on your laptop, better. So you need to be able to move as quickly as possible with the current digital media and communication skills. So when I was in campus, at the time, digital was very new. It was not properly understood. People didn't know what that meant. We were mainly focusing on, okay, how do you tell stories for print? But we're seeing that newspapers, in as much as you get the hard copy, people also accessing the same information virtually and digital. So you need to be able to think for whatever communications that you want to do, you need to ask yourself, how can you package it to go onto the digital platform? As a comms person, the global skills that you need to have an eye and a skill for multimedia content creation and design. You are constantly on WhatsApp. You're either on WhatsApp, you're on Instagram, you're on TikTok. All that is multimedia content. You're seeing videos, you're seeing audio, you can listen to audio, you can see people sending text. So you need to be able to have an eye and a skill for such content, and not just that content only, but creatively being able to package it and design it. And on a bit of design, those who know me know I am always prompting and pushing people to think about how to do design and learning how to do design. And Canva is your best shot. It's cheap. It's technically free. For the free version, like what I'm using to build my slides, it's for those who want to upscale it and pay. It's something that it's an investment that you put in that will go a long way as a comms person, as a media and as a communications person. Again, because you're a global professional, you need to have cross-cultural communication skills so that you're able to relate to someone from the region, East African community, for instance, someone from the Southern region, being culturally aware of some of these nuances and how that informs your communication. Again, be critical and creative thinking, adaptation and innovation, collaboration, because none of this work is done in isolation. You're always working with other people. You're working with teams, you're working with a photographer, a videographer, so you need to be able to see and build your skills in that as well. And then public speaking, of course, group and interpersonal communication, and empathy. Empathy is really important in communication because most times we are doing communications for other people. You're doing communication for organizations. How do you put yourself in the shoes of the beneficiaries of the organization? So you need to have all said. Empathy is a very critical skill as well. So just before I jump onto your CV, so now you know what you need. Now you know what is expected of you onto the global skills. I want us to quickly jump onto how then do you package your CV and your cover letter to speak to these skills that I'm just presenting right now. Why is this important? Because we're seeing that you're not the one who goes into this. I mean, when you're doing your application, it's not you who goes in. It's your CV and your cover letter that precedes you. So your CV and your cover letter has to present you so well and tell your story in such succinct words so that anyone who comes across your document knows who you are, what you're about, and such. So I will quickly talk about the CV section. And this is pretty important for those who are graduating. If you don't have a proper CV, or if you have a CV and you've never thought of how to clean it up, my friends, this is a slide you need to take. You can take a shot of this, but definitely this slide will be shared. So your CV, key sections of your CV, I mean, this I could call them different things, but for me, I narrowed it down so that it's easier for you to pick up, is that your CV needs to have a header. A header goes onto the top of all pages of your CV, has your name, very clearly spelled out. Your professional title, you could say, you could call yourself at this point communications, professional or communication. I currently call myself communications and media specialist, and those titles keep changing as you go. Your email address, your telephone number, and your telephone number should have the +254 code, because as global communications people, you are sending this CV to other to organizations that are not just in Kenya. So you need to put the code, and you need to put an alternative number, so that in the event that your phone, you're not available on phone, how else can they get you? So an alternative could be your parents or your sibling or someone who can easily get you. And a link to your LinkedIn. So those who are here and do not have a LinkedIn profile, please put down this, that you need to have a LinkedIn profile. You might feel, oh, but I don't have much skill. Start somewhere. So have a LinkedIn profile. And so this particular header sits on all pages. And then you need to have a professional bio. I'll show you how you can write a professional bio in the next slides. So basically, this is just one line or one paragraph that says who you are, what you're about, what you do. And the beauty of this professional bio is, think about it as an introduction statement. Hi, my name is Eunice Kilonzo. I'm a media and communication specialist. I tell stories. I've been doing this for 10 years, something like that. So think about the same way for you as well. In your particular, in the training, what are you passionate about? Are you passionate about electronic media, for instance? Are you passionate about writing and print? So then you need to find a way of putting that in your professional bio, and I'll show you how to do that. Skills. You need to show the skills that you have. And this goes back to this point. You see, these global skills. You need to, your digital media and communication skills, and this could be social media skills. You need to have that skill in your CV. And this could be about 6 in bullet form. Education need to start from current to past. Currently, St. Paul's University, Bachelor of Arts in Media, Please do not put your high school, because it is assumed that if you were in campus, you went to high school. So if you have anything about your high school, I don't know, I got a B+, whatever, remove it. You don't need it there. You're already beyond that now. Okay, and then work experience. So for those who've had any work experience, this could include an internship at this point, include it there, current to past, and then include achievements. I always recommend, don't say my job and responsibilities for this role was write daily news stories. That's nice, but it's a given that if you're given work, then you're given responsibilities. Show us then, what did you do with those responsibilities? That you're given this task, what did you achieve with that? So you need to have it as achievements. And then your CV should have voluntary work. You're a member of CU, or you're in the Writers Club, or whichever. You need to have that. If you've been published, you need to include that as well. Portfolio of your work, awards that you have, that you've gotten over the years, and then conferences that you've attended. This will come in, will make more sense maybe a bit further on once you start working and attending conferences and trainings. And an important thing is on references. You need to have references on your CV. These are people who can vouch for you. These are people who can, when they're called, they'll be asked, do you know Eunice Kilonzo? They say, yeah, I've worked with her and such. So you need to have references, people who can vouch for you, and you need to tell them that you put them on your CV. Don't let anyone be ambushed by a call and they have no idea what it is that you've applied for. So always just keep them on the loop. How do you save your PDF? I have seen people who who save their PDF as CV1, I don't know, _1500. It doesn't tell me anything about you. I can't tell who you are. So your CV has to be saved properly. Your name, the professional title. Remember the professional bio that we did, and then the year or the job title that you're applying to. You will notice in this that your CV does not have anything about you being male or female, because that does not help you in getting a job or help you doing a job for that matter. So remove anything that you have on gender. Anything about I am married, I'm single, again, it doesn't help you do the job. Remove it. Postal box, we don't sending letters anymore. We're doing email, so just have your email address. Religion, the people who feel convicted, they have to say that they're Christians on their CV. It's good for you to have that, to know that, but you do not want to put it there because it could be a point that you could be discriminated against. Imagine you're applying to a place where people are atheists and people who don't really care about religion. So don't put your religion there. Picture, I see people put pictures in their CV. Tempting, but don't unless you're applying for a model job and it is explicitly asked that you have a picture on that on your CV. And then your age, Don't include your age, because what happens, you could include your age and say you're 20 and someone will say, oh, this person is fresh from campus. They do not know anything about community. So you will be locked out. There are people who are ageist. So you don't want to have anything that would discriminate you. And basically all these that are down there are discriminatory, information that could be used against you in your application. And then always include links to what you've done. So this includes the LinkedIn and such, include titles and more links. Links, because nowadays everyone is going digital, so people want to click and see you. On the references bit, include their name, their title, their email address, mobile number, and please alert them. Let them know that they are in your CV. Let them not be caught by surprise, because they could end up saying, I spoke to that person 5 years ago, and that's how people will think, this person does not know who this person is. And the font size for your CV, your name up there should be 18 big, so that it's very prominent. Again, it's in all your pages. And then your body is 12. Nicely done. So I want us to look at this, the professional bio. And I think this is a very important bit of about who you are. So think about a professional bio as a vision statement. If you had one sentence to introduce yourself, what would you say? It should be enough to capture your years of experience, your skills, and what you promise to deliver. And as comms people, we are trained to be succinct, straight to the point. So this is a challenge to you as a professional, as someone who's getting into the industry, that you need to be able to capture who you are in a sentence. So you'll see what is in yellow below there. Multi-award winning media and communication storyteller with 10 years experience and a nose for news in health, science, research, and development. That's me. That's who I am. And so for you, you make it to your own qualifications. And this could be media and communication storyteller or professional with I don't know, 4 years, or I don't know how long, 8 years of experience that you have, with an interest in podcast, for instance, or in an interest in YouTube, something. So you need to find a way of creating this professional bio. And the beauty of this professional bio is that you can use it not just in your CV, where it's going to sit at just after your name and such, but you can also use it in the first para of your cover letter. And we'll talk about the cover letter just in the next slide. Is that this is you're basically introducing yourself as saying, this is me, this is what I do, this is what I'm all about. And you can also use this also for social media platforms, in your Twitter feed. For those who don't have Twitter, please set it up. For those who don't have LinkedIn, I would recommend set it up. And we'll discuss a bit later on why it's important for you to have an online presence, just as much as you have this presence that you have right now, your physical presence. So it's important also to have a social media presence. So this is a professional bio that is currently mine, and it grows. I will remove it, I'll edit something, I'll add something. So it's very dynamic, so it keeps changing as you go. So then let's move to the cover letter. So you see your CV is all about you. I have achieved, I've done this. The cover letter or the application letter is all about where you want to go. So you will see a lot of times and I've seen this, I would ask people to apply for jobs, and someone would simply, the cover letter would say, hi, my name is Eunice, I am the best person for this job, here is my CV. They copy everything from their CV, put it there, and then they say, I want this job, and they sit and say, I will get this job. You will not get that job, because you are saying exactly what is in your CV. You're not saying anything about the organization you want to apply to. And for those who have applied a couple of times, know that the employer wants to see and hear themselves in you. So you need to speak like them. You need to think like them. And I'll show you how to as I go down in this slide. So your cover letter, just as your CV, has your address, has your email address, I mean, of course, your name, email address, and phone number, the date, which comes onto below your details, and then the organization you're applying to. Don't send a cover letter that is just blank, that says application, your address, and then application for job. You will not get that job, because they could be recruiting for 50 positions. Who do they know what you want? How do they know what you want? So you need to be very specific. Put the organization, if it's BBC Media Action, for instance, put it properly. Let people know I'm applying to this organization and this is the title I want. So you need to have an exact title of the role in the reference. This is a formal letter, so you know how the formal letter looks like. Reference, and then your first paragraph. Remember the professional bio, this bio we talked about. This is where it goes, the first para, and how that professional bio speaks to the vision and mission of the organization. If you're applying to, let's say, to Council of Governors, What is their vision and mission? Are they saying that they want to work for the counties? So you need to be able to see what their vision is and how your professional bio meets and marry. So that means also then you need to be able to research on all the organizations that you apply to. Do not just say you see a job description, they're looking for someone and you send. No, don't. Take time, read about what it is that they're looking for, what do they need, and how do you fit into those needs that they have. And then the paragraph 2 and 3 answers the job description, like to the T, how you're qualified for the role. And this is pretty simple if you think about it. You get the job description and look through what are they looking for. And then your second para is speaking to those. So if they say they need someone who can be able to write or can be able to produce or shoot videos and such, you need to show I have done videos when I was in campus. I was the team leader for something. You need to be able to show that. And including self-taught skills that speak to the job. You might not have been taught design in campus right now or editing, but you've taught yourself, you've trained this on Canva, and other platforms. So you're going to show us how you gain those skills and how they speak to that job. Finally, para 4 speaks, you pick something about the organization. So you need to, again, the vision or mission, what are they looking for? We need someone who can help us tell a story, From your research that you look forward to learning and to work in, and how you bring in your professional bio as well. I hope I'm not losing anyone in this, that your cover letter is speaking exactly to the role. Your CV is talking about you. Okay, and then your cover letter should end in one page. The people who attempted to write paragraphs upon paragraphs upon paragraphs that do not help you in getting that job, stick with one page. And if you have to go beyond, let it be a page and a half. If you have to put, and all this. And also in your cover letter include links as well, links to the work that you've done, links to places you've been quoted, or awards that have been mentioned online about the work that you've done. Include those links as well. How do you save it? Like we did with the CV, your name, professional title, the year, and the job title. The importance of saving your CV and your cover letter in this format is that sometimes organizations will ask you to upload some of these documents. And there's so many people who have uploaded and they just have Eunice Kilonzo _ cover letter. But then the computer on the back end is picking out people who have keywords. And if your cover letter in the title and the text does not have some of those keywords, you'll be locked out. So you might be qualified, but you've been locked out because of how you saved and how you presented yourself. Okay, so that's the cover letter. So my friends, that said, you are not ready. Your CV is not ready if it is CV and your cover letter is not ready if it is not tailored to the specific role. Do not send the same cover letter to all the jobs. If you did that in the past, now you know, do not send the same cover letter to all jobs. Tweak it, speak to the job. You are not ready if you have typos or hanging sentences or grammar that is looking like, I don't know, it's all over the place. Because that tells the person who's recruiting that you're not attentive to detail. And you see, these are some of the things that people say. I need someone who's attentive to detail. You don't have proper, titles to what you did and such. So you need to be attentive to detail. And then you're not ready if you simply repeated your CV, resume in your cover letter without showing how your skills will help the organization. Remember how you bring your organization and your skills and how they meet. And then you're not ready if your skills are not global, if your skills are not here. I cannot pick, because these are keywords in communications. If I cannot tell, they have multimedia creation skills. If I cannot see this, my friend, you are not ready. And I should mention something. See, on the CV section, your education should be able to capture your current to past, but do not go into the detail of telling me I did this course, in my first semester I did this. No, just put education bachelor of this, and if you have your final project, include the name and then the link if it's published online. Okay. So you're not ready if your skills are not global. So as I wrap up, are you social? I know the people who say, oh, for me, I'm okay. I'm on WhatsApp, that's good enough. No, Please set up your LinkedIn, set up your Twitter feed, set up. So Macrack is for those who published. If you search Macrack plus your name, then you'll be able to find any articles that have been quoted with your name. You need to have your presence on Facebook. You need to have a blog. A blog is an important place because it is yours. It's your personal way of you starting to tell your stories and starting for you to practice some of the skills that you've gained. And I would recommend for those who are graduating this year and those who are in third or second year, set up a blog where you can jointly work together. So you could be good in writing. There could be someone who's good in video editing, videography and such. Work together to tell these stories. So then you're already starting to do like a mini media platform where you're telling your stories. And that you will learn a lot about, about the skills that you gain, because sometimes some of these skills are theoretical. And then until you start working and putting some of them into practice, then you realize, oh, I can tweak it like this, I can do it like this. And the other thing, if you've never done this, please Google yourself. By Googling yourself, you'll see how other people see you, because employers right now are Googling people. And what that tells you also is that if you are the person who goes onto Twitter and Facebook and spreads rumors, hate speech, hurtful words, attacking people, you see where I'm going with this. Your time and you're putting yourself at risk of being locked out of a job. So think about how you package yourself online, because you'd imagine, oh, nobody knows me online. Employers are Googling you. They will Google you, they will check you out, they'll see what you put online. So you need to be able to package yourself. The same person that is on Twitter should be the same person on LinkedIn. You could have different variations to how you present yourself, but for sure, you don't want to be a global professional, a global comms or media person who is abusing people, who is spreading propaganda, who is attacking people, who has such strong political beliefs, and they attack people who are against their thoughts. So think about how you package yourself, because that could have an impact ultimately in the job that you get, okay? And so in summary, please think global, be global, stay curious. My friends, just because you're graduating next week or you're in your 4th year, you feel like, oh, I'm on top of the world, I know everything that I need to know about communications. Let me tell you, let me break it down to you. You have a lot more to learn. I am also learning. I am where I am because I've been learning throughout. When I started out in the newsroom, when I started writing stories, I was always curious. I was always saying, you know what, how can I become better? And I was there for 4 years. I was telling stories on health and science. And after that, I said, okay, Eunice, you've learned for this almost 4 years and a half. What else can you HRC, where I worked with researchers and scientists, helping them to tell their stories. I didn't know everything, and I learned when I was there. When I was leaving, when I went to UNEP, I also went in and I learned also from them. And I'm still learning even now at Safaricom. I don't know everything. And for those who feel like, oh, I have reached, I am the best of the best, please take a seat and just know that you still have a lot more to learn. Stay curious, be global, think global. Okay. So these are references. You'll get this of what I used for my presentation, and that's who I am. Against that, my professional bio. As you can tell, I help people to review their CVs and cover letters. Help people review, not do their CVs. I don't do anyone's CV. I only guide you to do it, and then you make it better, and same for your cover letter. You can find me on Twitter at Eunice Kilonzo, and that's my email address in case you need any additional information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eunice. That was a very wonderful presentation and very insightful. We have a number of people who've joined us today. I have colleagues from St. Paul's University. I have my dean, Dr. John Muhoho. Thank you very much for joining us today. Colleagues like Ukaiko, and who's also engaging us in the chat. Thank you very much. We also have some TV stations, Y254 TV stations, and also some members from the Network for Media and PR Women in Kenya, and also the YES team. Thank you very much. Now on to our second guest, Dr. David Wachira. Now, Dr. David Wachira is a fintech entrepreneur, public finance specialist, and philanthropist. He works at the World Bank as a public sector and finance specialist. He served as a co-secretary for the World Bank's group Youth to Youth. He's a co-founder and manager managing director of a fintech startup, WirePay. He has taught at several universities: Southern Methodist University, University of North Texas, Wiley College, all this in the USA. He has established the Wachira Endowment for Public Service to provide scholarships and grants to university graduates. Now, he co-founded the Youth Engagement Society, YES, to empower the youth and connect them with role models. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I was one of the mentors at the 2020 YES Summit. Now, Dr. Wachira has a bachelor's degree in political science and history, a master's degree in history, and a PhD in public administration and management. Dr. Wachira has a very special connection to St. Paul's University. Actually, his father was an alumni of St. Paul's University. Karibu sana daktari. Take it away.
Asante sana. Thank you so much to everyone for joining in, and a special thanks to Eunice for that wonderful presentation. Actually took the fire about a lot of the things I was going to say, so it makes it easy for me to go after greatness. It's just a question of saying, you know, what she said and moving from there. So I will at least the way I had thought about this, Dr. Ndavula, was to have a short presentation and then to more allow room for discussion. I felt that Eunice would have presented quite a number of the things that I would have said, so I will probably just build a little bit on some of the things that she mentioned, you know, the think global and some of those things. So let me just share my screen right now and do the presentation. Thank you so much. Once again, my name is David Wachira. I am a public finance and governance specialist here at the World Bank. And my, just building on what has been said so far, it's just continuing on the conversation of how do you position yourself for the job market? And really quickly, let me just go over the outline of the brief talking points that I want to discuss. The first part, of course, is setting the framework, and then discussing what your set your USP, developing your brand, and creating an online presence, as Eunice had mentioned. And eventually, I just want to briefly talk about network. So without further ado, let me just jump right in. So, you'll find that for any job posted out there, one second, sorry, I just lost my talking points there. For any job posted out there, there are several candidates interested in it. And you'll find that a lot of these candidates will be just as qualified as you are, others maybe less so. For in my particular position, I was one of 8,300 candidates who applied for my position, of which from those 8,300, 36 of us were selected. And we can get into more details about that. But the point I'm trying to make here is that there'll be quite a number of candidates who are qualified as you. And the question for you is, how do you make yourself stand out from the crowd? Since there are a number of myriad challenges, you need to sell yourself by indicating to the organization why they should consider you over others. Most people, like myself, feel very uncomfortable with the notion of selling yourself because you may find as if you're not being truthful and so forth. And if that's the case, then I would venture to say sell yourself, reframe that particular thing in that you need to be selling yourself in things that are truthful. Then you have less of an issue when you're saying things that are true. So how do you stand out from the crowd? Well, as this picture of the butterfly shows us, there are quite a number of applications. It's a HR nightmare, particularly nowadays where all positions are announced online. Before in the past, when it was traditional mediums of application, it was a little bit easier to get your CV out there, largely because you just needed to physically present it. But now, where somebody can apply from a job when they're sitting in Kenya or in Uganda or in the US for the same position, just as if they were in Nairobi, it makes that very difficult, to make yourself stand out. And one of the things that I try to think about is, what is your unique selling position, your USP? And that should be part of your brand name. And essentially what we're trying to say is that what is unique about you that you promise to bring to the organization that other candidates don't have? And you have to answer that question for the HR manager, whoever will be selecting the position for you. As such, you need to be careful when you're making this unique selling position and picking exactly what makes you stand out from a pool of competitors. And I like to think about this in terms of marketing. For many organizations, marketing is the lifeblood that runs through the veins of all successful organizations. And without marketing, how good the product or service is, the organization will fail. There have been many great ideas that have a fluidity of products and services that are really remarkable, but they fail simply from the lack of marketing appropriately. And that could be yourself very well, in that you're actually very competent, you're very capable, but you fail in landing positions or in getting your CV out there simply because you're not marketing yourself appropriately. It's marketing that defines the distinctive features and benefits of a product or service. If we're thinking about an organization, it's marketing that sets the price. It's marketing that communicates those features and benefits to the appropriate audience, and it's marketing that delivers the goods to the consumer. That being said, then, as a result, you need to develop your brand. And so what does that mean? There is no better way to emphasize yourself than to develop a brand. People need to know, what does Eunice stand for? What does Dr. Ndavula stand for? And that's your brand. And depending on your background, as Eunice mentioned, you can create a career statement to complement your brand. You could use this statement on your CV or on LinkedIn. So the question I'm trying to get you to think about is, how does this little marketing lesson that I'm discussing apply to you? We know that in today's job hunting environment, the most successful job seekers are those who understand the value of marketing and apply to themselves these principles that organizations have used for years to sell their products or goods or services. So we need to get one misconception out of the way. Marketing is not sales. You're not simply trying to sell yourself. Yes, the sale is important so you can land that job. Sales is just a small part of marketing. And while you're selling yourself to the job market, it's certainly an important tool to sell yourself. But what we strive to do is to hopefully expose you to the much broader aspects of marketing yourself that will help you better understand yourself as a brand. So it's important as a result to uncover and comprehend in the career field would an organization and gather the detailed information that companies you would like to work for need. And so what you do is using market research the same way that an organization does is essential to your success. And there are a variety of ways to do this. One of the things that I would encourage a lot of people who are in the job profile or who are already working to visit, career market research sites for job seekers. There are quite a number of them out there. They're usually produced by governments. I would encourage you to take a look at the United States Department of Labor Occupational Outlook Handbook. And essentially what this handbook does is that it gives an outlook of what it sees in the job market. And this is increasingly international, not just in the US. So if you're thinking about communications, for example, you look at the handbook and it kind of gives you not only what communication entails, which by all means you should get that from your education and being at St. Paul's, but it reviews hundreds of characteristics of careers and different avenues of people within communication. And it's a great place to start when you're doing your marketing research, when you're preparing your CV, to see what are companies looking for out there in your specific field. It's a very good tool for interviewing. I would encourage you to take a look at it. Another way is to pick a professional within your career field and pick his or her brain about the future potential. And this would probably be better once you have read the career market research. That way you're bringing the information that you have read to this career professional. Lastly is you need to create an online presence. That cannot be understated. This is increasingly the case today, that if you don't have an online presence, then you're doing yourself a disservice. And sometimes we like to think of online presence as simply Twitter. And as Eunice mentioned, the things that you do and say on social media are part of your online presence and will have an impact in your career, because that's the first place we start. For myself, the moment someone asks me to write a reference letter and I don't know anything about them, the first thing I do is I Google them and I ask myself, do I want my name in terms of a reference matched up with some of the statements that this person has said? So if you use social media just to spew vitriol, or like Kenyans on Twitter like to do, you're doing yourself a big disservice, because that's the parameter that you're creating for people when they see you. So ensure that you create an online presence that supports your brand. As we mentioned, a good example is LinkedIn, this is essentially social media, but you have an opportunity to sell your skills and talents to those who are hiring, and to expose yourself to a great deal of networks beyond just the possibility of landing a job. LinkedIn is a great instrument for staying abreast with what is going on with your field and just general knowledge. I think it's a really wonderful place to start when you're going to be trying to build your brand better. The other thing is, if you're a writer, photographer, or a person who needs a portfolio, then you need to have shareable samples and post on your social media. Time and time again, I have reached to communication specialists or photographers or people who are in PR, and I ask, send me a sample of their work, and they don't have anything to offer. And it creates a very difficult environment for me, as someone who's looking to bring someone on board, either at the Youth Engagement Society or elsewhere, if I can't ascertain the work that they have done simply because they don't have a portfolio. And lastly, one thing that is remarkably important is networking. As the world increasingly becomes interconnected and a global village, more and more people are relying on recommendations to get what they're seeking. I know I do very well in that regard. If I'm seeking for a particular position, or if I want to find out about a particular position, I reach out to my contacts. So if you're interested in a particular job within a particular industry, and you don't have any friends or anyone who you know in that particular industry, then I would encourage you to seek those out, because it's through those connections that an associate will recommend you. It also, as you try to build your network, it's important to be clear about your goals and what you're searching for. And one good way is to attend job fairs, alumni events, or workshops that can expose you to more and more people within the particular field. A good number of you may be undergraduates, and so kind of starting this out. And so job fairs and alumni events or any workshops are very important things that you should attend, and not just at your particular university, but in terms of what other universities are doing in terms of job fairs, what the government is doing, and what NGOs and organizations are doing. You have to actively put yourself out there. And the mistake that people make is that they only put themselves out there when they're searching for a job. And that's, the opposite of networking. I wouldn't be in this conversation. I wouldn't have met the people in this group if I had only been interested in a job, because my network connections to Dr. Ndavula is what has brought me to speak at this event. And that came simply from networking, not because I was out there looking for a job. So there's a lot to be said about networking and its importance. And I can't understate just how integral it is, not only for your own professional, but also for your personal development. I would strongly encourage you to continue to seek out opportunities for networking, and try not to do it with a sense of what can I get out of it for myself, but more so on what do you have to offer people out there. One of my favorite scriptures is, as iron sharpens iron, so does one person sharpen the countenance of another. And that doesn't mean that you just go out there to help people when you are seeking for help, right? As Jesus said himself, if we do good to only those who do good to us, what was the point of that? The point of this that I'm trying to make here is you have to put yourself out there and be willing to reach out to people within different organizations and take references, right? As applications come beyond your particular desk, or even, mentor or serve as a mentor or as a mentee to someone. These are very important aspects. So I encourage you to build your network. We can discuss that in a little bit more detail, hopefully in the question and answer section. But I think that's a very important aspect, probably one of the most important aspects of positioning yourself for the market. So in wrapping up, one, develop your own unique selling position. Two, create your own brand. 3, definitely have an online presence, and 4, network. And do those 4 things in addition with what Eunice has mentioned. It's a great way to start positioning yourself for the market. And I'm always eager to help and mentor youth who are starting out, because we get to where we are by standing on the shoulders of others. So if you need someone or some help in terms of just reviewing a CV or discussing a position, you can reach out to us via email or via social media. We're always glad to help. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. And so I'll stop sharing and over to you, Dr. Ndavula.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Wachira. That was very powerful and also very insightful. So maybe just to jump straight to our questions, I can see some very interesting questions for you, Eunice, and also, of course, David, Dr. Now, there's Victor Kiplagat who's asking, how do you balance your social media profiles? I mean, and I think he means, how do you balance the personal versus the professional? Eunice, perhaps you can go with that.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is you need to, as Dr. Wachira has mentioned, you need to ask yourself, you need to define who you are. What is your unique selling proposition? Because once you know that, then you can be able to tell my personal and my professional, they're almost the same if you think about it, because you can't be personally you're a good person and you help people, and then professionally you're the meanest person in the group, and you can't have that disconnect. So I would suggest that think about who you are, what are you passionate about, and what do you offer that is consistent professionally, personally, even I don't know, internally, if you were to go that way. So you need to package yourself in a way that does not take away from who you are personally, and then doesn't take away or make you look bad professionally. So think of yourself, and this is not something you can answer today and tomorrow. You need to take time and ask yourself, do you want to package yourself as a professional who stands for accuracy? As communication people, it's all about accuracy, balance and all that. Do you want to be packaged as that person, or you want people to keep, your personal life of being a rowdy person who is attacking other people? So then it doesn't marry. So your personal and your professional, at least in this day and time and age, should be the same person.
Okay. Thank you very much, Eunice. And maybe before I come back to Dr. Wachira, Eunice, there's this persistent question. There's someone who's asking, I think Valentin is asking, what of introverts? How do we put ourselves out there on social media yet we are introverts?
That's a nice question. Introverts, and I think for introverts, you should be very happy that there's social media, because then you can choose how much you want to share, so that you don't have to feel compelled that you have to put out everything. And sharing on social media does not mean that you have to have post every single day. No, you can still be the introvert. You can still be the person who's quiet but you're very, very strategic in what you say. So you probably would be sharing stuff around your skills and some of the things that you find fascinating, without necessarily having to tell me who you are. I don't know if that makes sense. So and again, social media and online presence, it's all about strategy. You can't be constantly there all the time. It's okay for you to be there all the time, but then how you package yourself will still work for you as an introvert. Some of us who are extroverts, well and good. Sometimes we are extroverts, but so it really depends on how it's a balance, how you strategically position yourself, and how you use it for you good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now to Dr. Wachira, there's a question from Anyango Ouya, who's asking, during a job interview, how do you describe your greatest strengths and how do you describe your greatest weaknesses?
Yeah, so this is a common question that I find people ask within job interviews. I personally dislike the question, but if it's asked, you can't say you dislike the question, right? So you have to answer it. And one of the things I suggest doing is being very truthful and upfront. with one of the things that I have to say on this, the one particular thing is that particularly in your unique selling position is that you're trying to bring things that differentiate you from others, right? So your strengths should point to that thing, right? If your strengths are just average, right, then for me as a HR person, I have to ask myself, okay, then what exactly are you bringing to the table, right? So your strengths have to stick out, and it's a way of either formulating them appropriately, right? And even when it gets to the point of your weaknesses, maybe flip the question around by saying, sometimes my strengths can be my weaknesses, in that, I'm very, driven when it comes to work, that sometimes I may lose track of time when I'm working on a particular project, right? And I may miss my taxi to go home, right? At least for the person telling me, it's like, okay, this person is just not waiting for 5 p.m. to clock out, right? So at the other end, you've presented your weakness in a way that, okay, we know that this person is very driven, and maybe if anything, what they would need to be doing is scaling back so they can have a life, right? So they're not a workaholic. So that's one way to present it. But
Thank
it's
you very
important
much.
to think about it in terms of how you market your unique selling position, particularly for the strengths.
Thank you very much. Okay, maybe now, as we come to the close, maybe Eunice, if you could like to give your closing remarks, please. And then we'll come to David.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share and discuss really how to package yourself for the job market. And I think what I would encourage all of us in this webinar is that it's not too late to start. It's not too late for you to prepare your CV afresh, for you to have an online presence. It's not too late for you to network, as Dr. Wachira has aptly put it in his presentation. It's not too late for you to stay curious. So don't feel like you're catching on too late. So be encouraged that you still have a chance to turn things around in your favor. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wachira.
Yeah, so for me, one, let me begin by saying a quick vote of thanks to everyone. I really enjoyed this webinar, and I look forward to participating in it again. I just want to jump off real quickly on the social media and the introverts. One, there shouldn't be a professional difference and a personal difference in your social media. And by shouldn't be, I mean, you cannot be mean and rude on the personal life and then nice in the professional side. You need to have a unique common denominator across your personal and professional. So in that the professional, you're posting, of course, professional-based position, but in your personal, you're also not vitriolic and attacking people, right? And yes, they are personal posts, but they're being read in the common aspect. So they can't be negative and demeaning to people, right? So you can't say, for example, personally, I don't believe in gender equalization, but professionally I do. That's just absurd, right? So you can't have those type of stands. Secondly, social media has been really great for introverts. There was a question on that because it allows you to speak without necessarily and get your voice heard without necessarily having to actually be audible, right? You're shy and you don't want to talk out in front of people. Kind of social media gives you an anonymity to that. It also lets you think about what you want to say more strategically because you're writing it down. And because of the power of written medium, you can articulate things better. So for us introverts, I say use it as a tool. I have a lot of people. My sister, for example, is very introverted. She's very shy. But if you read her social media, you would never expect that. She's always at the forefront of research and development. So that's what I would say in closing. And thank you once again.
Thank you, our panelists, for agreeing to our invitation. I'm so grateful that you could join us today. I know you're busy people. So Dr. Wachira and Eunice, please keep the fire burning. I know you have such a huge passion for mentoring the youth. So never get tired, and many blessings in your future engagements with the youth. Servants of God and humanity, that is our guiding principle at SPU. To our graduating class of 2020, please keep that in mind, and good luck.